Hello, Panther family. This is Dr. Webb, the client advocate from the Counseling Center, and I want to welcome you to episode 3 of the Panther Voice podcast. I hope everyone is doing well and that you are staying safe and staying healthy and practicing your social distancing. In the first episode, I talked about the importance of asking for help. And in the second episode, I talked about ways to kind of cope with the COVID-19 or coronavirus pandemic. This episode, I want to talk about adulting and what it is and why it's important. So with that being said, the name of this episode is called Adulting 101. As a college student, you are learning how to make decisions for yourself and becoming more responsible. That alone, with the pressures of having to keep up with academics, attending class, while trying to maintain a social life, as well as take time for yourself, can involve some adulting. There are different ways to adult, from meal prepping and preparation, budgeting, knowing how to schedule an appointment, understanding how your insurance works and learning how to buy your insurance benefits, or even learning how to apply for insurance, time management, knowing when to say no, and setting priorities. These are all things that adulting can involve. Now, you may ask, how will adulting apply to me, or what does that look like for me? Think about just things that you feel like you need to do or that would be important for you to do. For example, we all have to eat. Okay, so rather than going out to eat every day, going to fast food restaurants, spending all this money on food, one thing we can do to adult is meal prep and preparation. So, what does meal prep look like? Meal prepping looks like first thinking about what it is that you want to eat for the week. Then from there, you prepare a list of what you feel like you will need, the ingredients and the type of foods that you want to get, if there's meats that you want to buy. Then you go to the grocery store to buy the ingredients, and then you take it home, and then you prepare the meal. Meal preparation is good because it helps you to save time on cooking meals. That way you don't have to prepare meals every day. Sometimes people prepare meals for the week, maybe on a Sunday. That way they think about what it is that they want to eat, and then they prepare enough that will last them for the week, and then they eat off that every day until the remainder of the week. Budgeting is something that is also another part of adulting. You got to be able to make sure you have enough money to be able to do things. One thing with budgeting, you got to think about what's your needs and what are your wants. If you feel that you're low on food, or if you're low on groceries or anything like that, that would be a need. Or if you're needing to pay bills, that's a need. A want would be something like maybe going to the nail salon, even though I know that a lot of people, a lot of ladies like to go to get their nails done, but a lot of times that can be necessarily a want. And that's not necessarily something that you have to have versus what you need. So when you budget, think about everything, every expense that you have, and do that. And just set aside enough money to be able to pay for that. Typically, people do budgeting maybe monthly, because a lot of bills may be just once a month that they pay. So that could be a way to do with your budgeting. Knowing how to schedule an appointment. That is something that I see that a lot of people have a little bit of anxiety about. When you schedule an appointment, really what you're doing is basically either contacting the person by phone or you're emailing, and you're basically saying that you want to schedule an appointment for some type of service. For example, let's say if you are wanting to schedule an appointment to see a therapist. What you would do is you would call the therapist And you basically would just say that you want to schedule an appointment for therapy. A lot of times the therapist will ask you questions in terms of what it is that you're looking for, what your presenting concerns are, trying to get a little bit more information about you. You basically answer those questions that the therapist is asking you. And then from there, you can ask questions too in terms of, what type of therapy do you provide? What are your therapeutic approaches? What type of clients do you typically serve? Things like that. And then once you feel that you have gotten enough information, you can ask if you can schedule the appointment. And the appointment is usually something that will be working with both of your timetables and things like that. If you find that when you reach out to the therapist that you're wanting and no one answers, make sure to leave a message on their voicemail, because a lot of times people won't necessarily know that you called unless you leave a message. And all you're doing when you leave a message is basically saying your name, the reason why you're calling, a callback number, and then asking them to call you back. Just as simple as that. Understanding how insurance works and learning how to learn more about your insurance benefits. Okay, as we know, insurance is needed for a lot of different things, from paying for health care or paying for making sure our car is taken care of, making sure our house is taken care of. Insurance is something that is needed. So you want to know what type of insurance you need based on what you have. If you have a car, you got to have car insurance. If you have a house, you have to have home insurance. Or if you rent a home, you have to have rental insurance. So one thing you want to do is applying for insurance, thinking about, again, what it is that you need, and learning about your insurance benefits. And one way you can do that is by contacting the insurance provider and following the prompts, because there's usually going to be some prompts that you may have to complete when you try to get connected to a customer service provider. And what I mean by prompts, it may be like putting in your date of birth or putting in your member ID number that's on your card. So basically they can do that to get you connected to a representative. And basically when you contact the representative, you're just basically asking, what does your insurance cover? Is there a copay for anything? Is there a deductible that you have to reach? Is there a certain number of services that it provides? Those are things that you want to ask with insurance. Time management. Time management is so crucial. We got to make sure that we have time to be able to do the things that we would like. So with time management, one of the things that's important is prioritizing tasks. Thinking about what is most important and then least important, and then so on and so forth. One of the ways that you can use time management is by having like a daily agenda or weekly agenda where you write down your things that you have to complete. And then, like I said, by prioritizing, once you're able to find what is most important at that time, you do that first, and then just go ahead and scratch that off the list and then move on to the next thing that you have to do. That way you don't have to get overwhelmed with trying to have to do everything at one time, and you're putting a sense of importance on what you think needs to be done first. Adulting is a part of life. It may seem scary at first, but in the end, it's so worth it. All it takes is practice and knowing that you matter and you have the right to be your own self-advocate. Until next time, be well, Panthers, and remember to own your advocacy.